Top of the morning to everybody. Sorry about my voice today. I lost my voice over the last couple of days, so now I sound a lot like Michael Rooker. Okay, today I'm going to go over archiving. One of the cool things I really like about Final Cut Pro X is the ease that I have in archiving things. What's neat is I can archive stuff so that I can edit it in the future. It's very easy to do. Now, the files are big, but because everything is split up like this, basically all I need to do is grab the library and archive it. Now, I do some things to kind of shrink it down a bit. So what I'm going to do is go over a couple of these things, and so you can see exactly what happens. All right. So let's do this. I'm going to sort by date modified. Let's do Jason Cook. This is a huge one. Look how big that is. That won't even fit on a 50 gig Blu-ray. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Yeah, just updated Final Cut Pro. By the way, the new update really only adds support for 4K and some really cool ProRes codecs, but it doesn't really change anything in the editing, so there's nothing really worth mentioning. And since I don't do any 4K acquisition, it doesn't help me much. Okay, if I look here, I have a whole bunch of projects up here on the top. I'm going to kind of slide this over so we can see some more stuff here. All right, so I have all these projects. Now, I don't necessarily want versions 1.0, 1.1, or even 1.2. I want the latest one. So 1.4 for this one. Let's go here. Second Courtroom 1.4. Introduction 1.4. Billboard 1.1. 90-second workers' compensation. Must be this one. Workers' compensation. This one. Injury. There was only one. Policy spot 1.1. You need a lawyer with a phone. We'll do that one. And you know what? I think these two might be slightly different. No, we'll just do that. All right, so I've got those selected. Now let's do this. Let's make a new library. Now the reason we're doing this is because I only want these items. I don't want everything, and I don't want all of the video that's added in there that I didn't use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Jason Cook, and I'm going to call it archive, and I'll put 08-2014 just so I know when the date is for it. And if I go back to these and I grab them and I drag them over here, it will add them. And it's going to say, do you want to copy all of these items plus the video that goes with them? And how do you want it? Do you want it optimized media, proxy media, or do you want me just to include the raw stuff? So I'm going to include the optimized media. And what it will do is it's going to copy all the video that I need, everything that's attached with these particular projects, from this library over to this library. All right. Now, if we look at this, we can see the processing. It's rendering audio waveforms, but basically most of the transition is already done. And this is the cool part. We're going to open up the Finder again. And if I look at the Jason Cook archive, it's now gone from 96 gigs to 35 gigs. There are a lot of spots in here that are big, that use a lot of media. Several of them were using multicam, and because they used multicam, there's twice as much footage as there should be. Okay, so now it's finished, and I can go ahead and close these, because I don't need them anymore. Actually, let me open up that Jason Cook Archive 1 so that you can see it. And you can see here's all the video for it. And a lot of these files are huge, like some of these ones here with the funky names. These are huge because they were rendered uncompressed. So they turned out to be huge. So that's done. And I've gone from 96 to 35 gigs. So let's open up a new one. Let's look at Ringling Brothers. Let's do this Cox Communications one. Now this was all shot with one camera. We didn't do any multicam in it. But there's only these 4. Now, let's look at the original size. And remember, I didn't use all the video that's in here. The original size is 24.39 gigs. So let's make a new library. I'm not even sure this will necessarily work, but it's worth a try. Oh, I forgot to call it archive. All right. Now notice I'm not clicking on the events here. I can click on the events, but in this case I'm actually just doing this entire thing. In this case also I don't want these movies. They're not necessary. Okay, so I'm going to drag this up into this archive here. And I want the optimized media. And it's going to copy it over and start creating waveforms. And let's look at the size. So I've gone from 25 gigs to 10 gigs. All right, let's do the next one. Rubicon. Let's do Rubicon Nightclub. All right, so we're going to make a new library. We're going to call it Rubicon Nightclub 2014. We'll call it Archive. It helps if I spelled it properly. Just to differentiate it from the other one. We go in here. Let's get rid of this for a minute. And that's all we've got, these 2 files here. And we're going to drop them over there. Now this should make a huge difference because I had a lot of video in there. And look at this. 4.1 gigs. And that's it. There was a lot of unnecessary video in there that was never used. Cool. We'll do one more. So we go into our libraries. Let's do Promociones al Rey. This is going to be a lot very similar to Rubicon because it's actually a lot of the same footage. I just use different clips. A lot of these clips are 10 minutes long. And there's too many of them. Wow, that was loud. That hurt my ear. There's too many of these that, and I hardly used any of them. And since I only have one spot, file, new library, Promociones al Rey, archive 08, 2014. Okay. And I just drag the project over, and all it does is bring the video files that I used over, and that's it. It doesn't bring anything else. And our file size has gone from 24 to 2 in this case. Okay. This is all done doing its rendering and all that stuff, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. So let's go ahead and close all these libraries. Now, just to keep things organized, I don't put all this stuff onto each individual disk. And I do this because it saves a little bit of money. And also, I keep a database on all these things. And I'll show you my database real quick. I call it my archive disk list. And actually, we'll open up those projects again so that we can see them. So let's go to date modified and let's grab this Promociones al Rey archive. I'm going to open that up real quick. And here's the name of the spot. Now what I do is I put the client followed by the title and the version number. And this is the only spot that this particular one has. Friday Latin Night 2014. Okay. And then what I'll do is I will make a disk here that it's going to all be on. But I'm just going to list these out for now, and then I'll go ahead and make the disks later. Probably shouldn't have closed them before, but no big deal. We'll just open them back up. Okay, so this one is Rubicon. It's actually Rubicon, but I'll just use my southern accent and just call it Rubicon. Now notice on this one I did a 1.1 and a 1.0. It's not that big of a deal when there's only 2 projects. Whoops. I accidentally hit the equal sign. You don't want to do that in numbers. Okay, and the other one we've got is this Acceso Total one. It's basically A, B, C, and D. So here's what we'll do with this. This will be pretty easy. All right, I'm going to copy this. Since I've got A, B, C, and D, I'll just paste it there. Copy that and paste it there. And all I have to do is change it B, C, and D. Okay. One more. Good old Jason Cook. Actually, it would probably be easier if I just moved them over here like this. And then I just removed Jason Cook from each of them. All right. I'm trying not to talk as much as possible just because it kind of hurts. We can copy that, paste it all through there. Okay. Now here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and quit Final Cut Pro. Actually, let's close these libraries. Close, close. You want to close them because I'm going to get rid of them. And you don't want it to open up and say, hey, where'd those libraries go? All right, so I've got those 4 archives. These are the 4 that I've already archived. We're just going to toss them in the trash. And the way I do this is I have another folder here that is my archive folder. And I will take these projects that I'm about to archive and I'll throw them into this folder. And I'll create a multipath file. All right. I'm giving credit to these guys here because they kind of got me the courage to do these little trainings here. So I thank them for the ability to come on here and do this stuff. All right, now if I look at this, this is 52 gigs. It's not going to fit on a 50 gig drive. So it's $52.99. I need to throw out this Rubicon one. So now if I look at it, it's $48.88. So this one right here is ready to be burned. If I were to burn this right now, it would have these 3 items on it. So let's go ahead and copy this name. I don't know why I call it multipass, but whatever. Okay, everything but Rubicon. So I'm just going to paste that name there. So now in my archive disk list, or my thing here that tells me where all my archives are, all of these items let's put it there and get rid of that. All of these items here are on multipass Good Boulderfist. Alright, pretty cool. Now I haven't burned it yet. I'm going to go ahead and start burning it now. And it's pretty easy to burn stuff. Let me go grab a 50 gig disk. Alright, so now that I have the disk, I'm just going to open it up. Pop it in there. Now you may ask, well, why don't you just archive these onto hard drives? And there's a major reason for that. One is that hard drives are susceptible to, I mean, they have so many moving parts, they're susceptible to serious failure. There are rugged hard drives and things like that, but at the rate or the cost of a hard drive, I could do a lot more Blu-ray discs or DVDs. I'm going to open Finder. Okay, so I've got Untitled Blu-ray 4. I'm just going to grab just these 3 items and drop them in there. And then I'll hit the burn icon. And it's called Multipass Good Boulderfist. And I hit burn. And it starts burning. So anyway, so if you were to drop a hard drive that wasn't a rugged hard drive, you could potentially seriously damage it. Plus, they also have a lot of motors and electronic parts and things in there that could potentially go bad very quickly. Generally speaking, I've had my hard drives last about 5 to 6 years before they start freaking out. I've had some last as low as 6 months, and I've had them last as long as 10 years. And I know CDs and DVDs aren't necessarily the best thing either, because they can get scratched. There are many potentials for that. But generally speaking, if I put a CD away, or a DVD or a Blu-ray disc away, it's not going to be bothered. It's not going to be scratched. No one will mess with it. Hard drives, however, every time I insert them or every time I use them, there's a very high potential for them to be damaged. All right, so the other reason is because of the cost. If I were to take this drive, for example, this is a decent rugged drive at a good store that I like to purchase drives from. This particular one is 1 terabyte. It's bus powered. It's Firewire 800 portable hard drive. I could carry it around. I don't have to worry about an external power supply. It takes its power from the computer, so on and so forth. It's $130. Now, if I were to take that same $130 and purchase Blu-ray drives or Blu-ray discs with it, I would be able to get 2.6 terabytes worth of Blu-ray drives for the same price. And so that's why I choose to use the Blu-rays over the over hard drives. There's a less failure rate, and I get more bang for the buck, basically. It does take a while to burn them, but essentially, since I'm not pulling them off all the time, it's no big deal. To try to make a library with the hard drive, here's another problem with the hard drives. To try to make a library with the hard drive, it's nice because I can search them, and it's great. I can go through and I can search stuff, just plug it in, and find things very quickly. I don't have to do this this big thing. But because of the size, if I were to put all this stuff on here, and I could probably put maybe 50, 60 clients on here, you know, depending on how big things get, how small they are. If I lose this hard drive, I lose all of those clients. Here, I'm only losing the 3. It's not that big of a deal. It's not as great of a loss if one drive gets scratched. All right, so that's why I go for that. So now let's let this finish burning. Actually, we don't even have to finish it burning. I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording, and later on I will show you how to bring an archive back and how to use it. It's a pretty cool little thing. All right. Okay, so now that we've burned the disk, now the question is, how do we bring everything back? It's fairly simple. All you do is you grab your file that you're going to bring back from your archive. I'll grab Consejero Gonzalez, and you drop it into your Final Cut libraries or wherever you save your stuff. Once it's on a hard drive that's fast enough and that can write as well as read, all you need to do is double click it and it'll open up into Final Cut Pro and you're good to go. And that's it. And then once you're done, if you've decided to change it, you can change the library's name and modify it a little bit so that you know that you've made a change. If you don't change it, you're just going to export the file. I suggest you remove the library so that you don't re-archive it later. And that's all I have for you. That's how you archive your libraries to Blu-ray, how you make them smaller so that they can fit onto discs, or you can fit more onto a single disc. If you enjoyed watching this video with my horrible voice, sound like Merle Dixon, let me know, leave a like, and I'd like to thank you very much for watching.